Can you get pregnant during a pregnancy? It's rare, but possible. If you're already pregnant, it probably never crosses your mind that you might get pregnant again. Whatever buns are in that oven are the only ones you'll have to worry about baking for the next 40-ish weeks, right? Well, I don't want to scare you, but it turns out that you can still get pregnant even if you already are. Before we get into the details, be sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss any daily updates from the bright side of life. Pregnancy in humans happens when two gametes containing genetic material, the father's sperm and the mother's egg, encounter each other after sex. This fertilization creates a zygote, which then divides into a group of cells called an embryo. The embryo grows into a fetus after about 10 weeks, which then keeps developing until birth. Even normal pregnancies can take a lot out of you, so this sort of double pregnancy is a completely different beast. The name for this phenomenon is superfetation, and it's when different offspring develop in different stages during the same gestational period. Basically, another egg gets fertilized while the first is already growing inside the womb. This phenomenon is much more common in animals like rodents, rabbits, sheep, minks, and badgers than in humans. It's extremely rare for superfetation to occur in humans, and there are only 10 documented cases. A recent case is that of Julia Grovenberg. In 2009, she conceived a daughter and a son 2.5 weeks apart. Biologically, the female body is engineered to make sure this doesn't happen. Hormonal changes during pregnancy prevent ovulation, the process of releasing an egg from the ovaries into the fallopian tubes to be fertilized, and thicken the uterine lining to prevent another embryo from attaching itself to it. No one's really sure why some embryos manage to get past these defenses, but some obstetricians think it has to do with the first embryo's implantation into the uterine wall. If it gets delayed, then the spike in hormones that usually prevents a double pregnancy does too, opening a window of opportunity for a second embryo. These two embryos are considered fraternal twins since they are created from two separate eggs being fertilized by two separate sperm. However, unlike traditional fraternal twins, each of the fetuses in the superfetation pregnancy has different due dates to reflect their differing dates of conception. It's pretty hard to give birth to one baby and keep the other inside, so they'll usually be delivered together. This doesn't present many risks for the older fetus, but the younger one will more than likely be born prematurely. The preterm twin will be smaller than its sibling and have a higher risk of certain birth defects and developmental delays. Julia Grovenberg's twins, however, were an exception to this rule. Her daughter, Jillian, was born on December 24, 2009, and her son, Hudson, on January 10, 2010. While superfetation is rare in humans, the chances of a double pregnancy occurring increase among those receiving hormones for IVF. Boosting your fertility with IVF stimulates your ovaries beyond normal levels, so they become more likely to release more eggs to be fertilized. Surrogates often undergo IVF treatments to help with the process of conception and are, therefore, more susceptible to superfetation. In 2016, a California woman surrogating for a Chinese couple carried not only their child, but also conceived her own. That's right, she gave birth to twins who weren't even related. There obviously wasn't much legal precedent for a case like this, but everything worked out in the end. The surrogate and her husband were able to take their baby home, and the Chinese couple kept their baby. This is pretty fascinating, isn't it? Hearing about it has probably made you curious, and you might have a Google tab open right now to find out more. Well, you're not alone. According to a 2014 Google survey, new and expectant parents use this search engine twice as much as other people. When you learn that people without kids use Google 3.5 billion times a day, it puts things into perspective. Everyone wants to know what to expect when they're expecting, and Google has all the answers. Google mostly tells them to expect to spend a lot of money. I know it's not what any expectant parent wants to hear, but it's the truth. You could spend as much as $8,000 in your baby's first year. Necessities like food, diapers, and clothing don't come cheap. Then you have to factor in a drop in income because of paternity and maternity leave. If you haven't saved up enough for your little one's arrival, don't worry. Google can tell you where to buy, when to buy, and how to alter and repurpose clothes to get the most bang for your buck. This can come in especially handy in the case of superfetation pregnancy, since the different gestational ages of the twins can make one much smaller than the other. When the older baby grows out of something, it can be handed down to the younger one. Before you turn to Google to find out the likelihood of getting pregnant while you're already pregnant, let us save you a search. It's extremely rare. Unless you're on IVF treatments, you have no reason to worry, and even then, the chances are low. If you have any concerns about your pregnancy, be sure to bring them to your obstetrician. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and share it with the other parents in your Lamaze class. Then hit subscribe to join us on the bright side of life.